Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly webinar. My name is Brennan. I'm the founder and owner at Newaya, and today I'm talking about a Keep Your Trade-ins program for the carriers that Newaya works with that utilize our software to run their trade-in programs. And so with that, I'll get started and share a little bit about Newaya and who we are. So for folks that have never encountered us before, I started Newaya in 2010, so we're about 12 years old. We are up in northern Colorado in Fort Collins, and we kind of exist to serve three different markets, and we focus a lot on carriers. So we've got this trade-in program and software designed for regional cellular carriers, and then we also serve the enterprise and education markets from a IT asset disposal perspective. We are a pretty small outfit, but a small and efficient outfit in northern Colorado. So we'll process about 30,000 devices this year in 2022. And I've got 8 employees that work with me. Everyone's been on the Newaya team for at least a year. So we've got a close, tight-knit group of trade-in and device experts. And that's what folks that work with us are getting when you work with Newaya. You're getting a group of really tenured, experienced people in the trade-in world, and so we're happy to provide that to the clients that we work with. So that's Newaya. In these webinars, I talk a little bit about these two different services that we offer to carriers. So our webinars, although we provide enterprise and education services as well, we focus most of our webinars on our carrier services, and we've got 2 of those. Basically, the one that we talk about the most, it's this featured plug-and-play trade-in program, and that's a piece of software that carriers run in their retail stores and online on their websites. And we even run it with other branded partners as well. But it's a software system and logistics program that Newaya facilitates for any partner that we work with to run a trade-in program either online or in their retail stores. But in addition to that, the service that we offer carriers quite frequently is a simple inventory liquidation. So we will bid on any list of devices that you have that you are wanting to sell off, and that's a pretty simple and straightforward process. We regularly get a list of devices from the carriers that we work with that they either have as overstock, repair stock that they don't want to repair or send back to their manufacturer for some reason, buyer's remorse inventory, stuff like that, or just aging and overstock inventory that's reached end of life in a warehouse. We will always bid on those devices from a carrier, provided that we are in a period where we can handle that bandwidth of inventory. But typically we are. So we've got these 2 services that we offer, and I spend most of my time on these webinars talking about features of our trade-in program. But I also like to mention that we have this inventory liquidation. It's one of the very frequent services that we offer to customers. So we've got these 2 services. Who are our clients on either service? Well, we've got a handful of carriers here that have been running our trade-in program, that plug-and-play software that I mentioned. So these are the carrier partners that we work with on that program. You see Viaero Wireless, Inland Cellular, Copper Valley Telecom up in Alaska. We're a small outfit, and we're pleased to work with other like-size carriers that need a smaller partner that is going to care more about their needs and be able to work really directly with them on the programs that they want to spin up and offer to their customers. So we're really pleased and fortunate to work with the folks here. We worked with them for years, and if you're ever interested in a connection to one of them to hear about their experience working with us, we'd be happy to provide that. So these folks use and run our trade-in program. If you're curious about seeing our trade-in software in action, you can see the trade-in portal on some of these folks' websites that will be powered by Newaya and our software. From a liquidation perspective, these are some of the carriers that we work with that we liquidate inventory for them whenever they have an auction, or if they are selling direct inventory liquidations. We will bid on the inventory that they have available for sale, and we've got plenty of years working with these folks as well, and are very pleased to say that we've worked with them. Same thing, if you're interested in a connection at one of these carriers, or feel free to just reach out directly and ask for their unbiased opinion working with us. We'd really encourage you to do that, and we hope that they've had a good experience. So I just want to kind of go over the typical trade-in program flow. Today we're talking about keeping trade-ins, which is a unique element of Newaya's trade-in program. And so with the typical trade-in program flow, what you have happening is a customer visits the retail store, and this carrier has implemented a trade-in program from a vendor at this point. So a carrier customer visits the carrier's retail store. The retail associate at the store quotes the customer's trade-in value, whether this is an early upgrade program, just a straight-out buyback program, or some kind of activation of a new line. The customer's got an old device that they want to sell, and so the retail associate is probably using some software or system from the trade-in vendor to quote the customer a value on that trade-in device. And then if the customer wants that, they accept the value and they like however that value is presented to them. Maybe it's part, like I said, of an early upgrade program or lowering an installment plan. It's going to affect the installment balance over time. However this program is presented to the customer, they like it and they want to trade in their device. So they trade in the device. And then with most trade-in vendors, the carrier is required to send the trade-in handsets to the trade-in vendor, and then the vendor is paying the carrier for those trade-ins. And that's the typical flow with all the carriers that we've worked with. That's the expectation that they've had coming into the relationship with Newaya, a trade-in vendor. And so we see that very commonly. There are a couple of unique things about this model that Newaya does a little better that I've talked about on previous webinars, and one of them is the vendor pays the carrier for the trade-ins. In Newaya's scenario, Newaya is sometimes paying for those trade-ins on behalf of the carrier up front. So when the customer is trading in the device, Newaya is actually paying the carrier and paying the customer for that value of the trade-in at that moment, so the carrier doesn't have to hold the value on its books. But nonetheless, this is the typical model for a carrier to run a trade-in program with one of their vendors. However, some carriers they have a trade-in program like this, but it feels restrictive because it locks them in to sending all of their trade-in devices into the trade-in vendor. And we've seen this over and over again with different trade-in programs that we've implemented with carriers where, there's sometimes they're really excited to just send all of those devices to their trade-in vendor, but occasionally they want to hold back some of that trade-in inventory for various reasons, and I've got some of those here. So sometimes carriers want to hold back some of that inventory as a warranty replacement opportunity. So they run, some carriers run their own insurance or warranty programs if a device, especially if a device is out of warranty with the or OEM basically, or the manufacturer, and the carrier doesn't have recourse to send the device back and handle it for the customer that way. Maybe they want to just have a used device in hand to trade to trade out with the customer's device if the customer has insurance to the carrier. Maybe for repairs, if the carrier has a repair department, they want to have some inventory of working handsets, so they take in a customer's phone for repair if they're offering a repair program or a repaired insurance program, and they just issue out a used device that they know is working, that had come in through a trade-in. Or some carriers want to keep some of that trade-in stock, the fully functional trade-in stock, as CPO stock, which stands for Certified Pre-Owned. And so that's kind of the designation that carriers like to use when they're selling used handsets. And so some of them want to keep, if they're having a hard time getting brand new stock, they want to keep some of that trade-in inventory that's coming in from customers as CPO stock to resell if for some reason they don't have the exact phone that a customer wants brand new from the manufacturer, if they couldn't get it for some reason. It's nice to have a CPO handset or even if you've got a new one, maybe a customer is more cost conscious and they want to buy a cheaper handset. So it's nice to have a CPO device that you can sell to a customer. So some carriers want to run a CPO program, and that's why at Newaya we've got, these are some of the reasons that carriers want to keep those devices, and we've recognized that with other trade-in vendors. A carrier sometimes feels that the representatives at the carrier feel like they cannot leverage the trade-in program for these reasons. So it kind of splits the trade-in program, where sometimes they're using the trade-in program and sending the devices to the vendor. Sometimes they follow a completely, they have to build their own resource center or system for taking in devices as trade-ins from customers and then keeping them for any of these three reasons that I've listed here, or any other reasons. And so that's why in the Newaya program, we looked at this and said, how can we make this better? And we said, well, let's allow our carrier customers and clients to keep the trade-ins if they want to. And so we've built out a lot of software and a lot of systems for managing a trade-in program. And we figure, hey, these systems are part of the benefit to carriers. Part of our other benefit is that we're processing the devices if the carrier wants us to. But if the carrier wants to maintain those devices, we certainly wanted to have an option for carriers to be able to do that. So Newaya has basically two options. One is in the typical trade-in flow, Newaya pays the carrier a commission for every trade-in device that is sent to Newaya. But if carriers want to keep some combination of the devices in that stream, if they want to use the Newaya software just as a one, so that they don't have this split and they have representatives doing, some of them using the Newaya software, some of them doing some other processing to keep devices for CPO repairs or warranty replacements, they can now use the Newaya software for all of their trade-ins and then designate which trade-ins they want to keep. So a carrier can keep any number of its trade-ins. They can send half of them to Newaya, keep half of them, what have you, and it's $7. We charge a flat $7 per trade-in for the trade-ins that the carriers keep as a cost of using and leveraging our trade-in software and tools that we've built. So the carrier could decide to keep all of the trade-ins and pay that flat $7, or if they prefer, we can also work with carriers on a software subscription model where they're paying for Newaya's trade-in software and managing it themselves. So that's kind of a carrier managed solution. So in the $7 flat fee, Newaya is still managing all of the trade-in pricing and catalogs, which is one of the benefits that we basically offer to carriers for free if we're running the trade-in program for them. And they can pay $7 per trade-in. If the carrier prefers to just run the whole program themselves, but use the software that Newaya has created, then we can do that on a kind of consultation basis and a case-by-case basis of charging a subscription for our software. So this is a way for carriers to leverage a trade-in vendor that has all of the expertise and the understanding of the trade-in markets. Maybe the carrier still wants to leverage Newaya's catalog of pricing for these trade-ins because they want to be purchasing them at market value, but they don't want to deal with all the hassle of that and of building the program internally. They can do that. So carriers can do that for a flat fee of $7 per device that they keep. And so this is a great way if you still want to keep all of your trade-in devices, or you want to keep 50% or even just certain models of devices. We've spoken with carriers before that they want to keep all of a certain model at one period of time so that they can backfill their inventory of CPO devices. This is a way for carriers to do that. So this is Newaya's Keep Trade-ins program. And that's basically it. I like to put up this quote from Luke Dillie. He's the sales operations director over at Viaero. We work with Luke incredibly closely, and we have for many years now. And so his quote here is just an example of, I think their experience working on interesting and creative programs with us at Newaya. Like I mentioned initially, I'm fortunate to have a great group of people with me at Newaya. We've all been doing this for a number of years now. And so what we bring to the carriers that we work with is a tremendous amount of trade-in experience and market experience of running these trade-in programs with smaller carriers and other accessory makers and other channel partners that are in the industry. But we've worked very closely with Luke, and this is what he had to say. So, I'm thankful that we've got a great relationship with him, and we get to keep working with him. Thanks to Luke for that. If we've got any questions, I'd love to field those now. If not, I'll let everybody get off to their weekend. So, it doesn't look like, it doesn't look like anyone is coming in. Again, my name is Brennan. I'm the founder and owner at Newaya. My contact information is here. Feel free to reach out to me if you're interested in launching a trade-in program, or you're just interested in liquidating devices, as I mentioned earlier on in the webinar. And also, I host these webinars on a weekly basis. So every Friday, we've got a new webinar coming out about a different part or feature of Newaya's various programs. So feel free to tune in to those in the future. And you can check our YouTube channel for a history of these recordings of the various webinars that we've done. So thanks so much, everybody, and have a great weekend. I'll talk to you in the next one. Cheers.